What's up, y'all? It's your dude, Lazy Nate. I am here outside the Rainforest Cafe, and let's go into the animal kingdom and see how this does on the safari. Yeah, so let's go. Turn you around, let's go.
These are some of the biggest threats that are depriving animals of their native habitats and disrupting their life cycles. It is therefore our shared responsibility to find a balance that protects these magnificent creatures. And so, we of Harambe, together with the Disney
Transport, please remain seated with your hands, arms, feet and legs inside, and remember to watch your children. Your transport will be arriving shortly. Asante sana. Enjoy your adventure at Kilimanjaro Safari. Bienvenidos a Kilimanjaro.
Thank you, Warden. So, like they say in Swahili, twende, which means let's go, guys. Jumbo Safari Travelers, my name is Adaya, and I'm going to be your guide here at the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Couple of ground rules: keep our hands, arms, legs, and feet within the truck at all times, and please, 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 always be seated. It is going to be some bumpy terrain, and we don't want anyone accidentally falling off the truck, so that's why it's really important we maintain our seats until our journey has come to an end. Up above in front of you is going to be our animal spotting guide. It's not assured that we'll see every single one of those animals today. We're going to try to see as many as we can. Our first stop at the Harambe Wildlife Reserve is going to be the Little Ituri Forest. And in the Little Ituri Forest, the foliage is quite dense, and the animals really excel at that camouflage game. So it might be a bit harder to spot them than most, but I will try my best to point them out to you. Like if you look on your right, you're going to see some stripes. That is the closest living relative to the giraffe, the okapi. For the longest time, Westerners actually thought they were a myth. It wasn't until 1901 that Westerners actually spotted their first live okapi. It wasn't until the 2000s that a live birth was witnessed. They are endangered and very shy in nature, so even today, it's pretty hard to spot an okapi out in the wild. Things that let us know they're related to the giraffe. Well, they share similar skull shapes. This is going to be bigger on the giraffe. They are the bigger animal. They also share ossicones, which is horn-like structures under the skin. Only male okapis have ossicones, so both male and female giraffes do. And they also have prehensile tongues. So that's just fancy lingo for finger-like. So their tongues are going to wrap around the branches to grab the leaves for them to eat. If you look on the left, you're going to see two species of antelope kind of by the fences. So the one that is pale, that doesn't have horns, that's a greater kudu. We know that they're females because they do not have the horns. And their pale coloring is to emulate the sunlight peeking through the trees. The one with the horns are going to be the bongos. Their inverted horns earn them the nickname, the ghost of the forest, because it allows them to move in the underbrush, making little to no noise. Both the male and female bongos are going to have those inverted horns. Now that is the end of the Little Aturi Forest, and so we are moving onwards to Safi River. Safi River is where we have our more aquatic inclined animals to really look to the water. Discoloration and movement are going to be good indicators of an animal underneath. We're going to start on the right hand side with a bird that's kind of gray in color, and they tend to be posted up around the trees because they build their nests in the trees or on the ground near cliffs. They're called the pink-backed pelicans, and you can see them all kind of hanging around the palm trees. They are colonial nesters, so there can be up to 500 of them, all sharing the same nesting ground, and as long as the water quality is good, they do return. So that's why it's really important we maintain the cleanliness of our local waterways. They get their name because tucked under their wings are some pink feathers. It's hard to see right now, but during mating season, their skin itself turns pink, and it kind of looks like they're blushing. You are going to see the Nile hippopotamus. Hippopotamus is Latin for river horse, and they get this name because though they can swim, they prefer to walk / run at the bottom of the water, kind of like a horse. They do spend most of their time in the water, really only leaving in search of food like you see them doing now. They are vegetarians, so they're going to use their teeth to grind up the vegetation. Now that was the end of the Safi River. And so we're moving on to the savannah. Over in the savannah, the foliage isn't really dense like it was at the Little Aturi Forest. So the animals in the savannah aren't really concerned about camouflage. Instead, it's all about the safety in numbers. So they're not going to really be solitary. They prefer to run in groups. And not a lot of foliage means not a lot of shade. So they have to rely on certain adaptations to regulate their body temperature. And I may be able to share some cool ways they cool down with you today. And if you look on the right, it's a baobab tree, which means we're now entering savanna territory. Before even going all the way down into the savannah, I do see the Maasai giraffe on the right hand side, which is no surprise. They can be anywhere from up to 16 to 20 feet tall. They do practically everything standing up. They sleep, eat, and even give birth standing. So baby giraffes are welcomed into this world with a 6-foot drop. And I mentioned they sleep standing up. That's kind of a loose term. Giraffes are going to rest for about 30 minutes a day, and that's not consecutive. Instead, they spend most of their time eating. They're almost constantly chewing. So you're going to see those Maasai giraffes on the right. And also on the right, you're going to see a huge set of horns. That's going to be the Ankole cattle. The other name for them is Watusi cattle, named after the tribe that domesticated them. Though those horns are quite large, they're actually quite light. They're made out of a honeycomb-like structure, and blood circulates through, allowing them to regulate their body temperature. Both the male and the females have those big set of horns. And they're also considered symbols of wealth. So those believe the more of them a farmer had, the wealthier they were. Now I did mention that the giraffes only rest for about 30 minutes a day, so what do they spend most of their time doing? They're almost constantly eating and chewing. As you can see, kind of all the giraffes that are in our vision are currently eating. I mentioned they're related to the okapi, and I talked about ossicones. So those cylindrical things in between their ears, those are the ossicones that they share with the okapi. Now, if you look on the left-hand side, kind of under those rock formations that look like a cave, is going to be the canines of the savannah, the African painted dogs. They differ from other canines in that they have only 4 toes as opposed to the typical 5, and they hunt at dawn and dusk. That's why they're taking their power naps now. But don't let that fool you, they have a higher hunting success rate than lions and hyenas combined, and the African painted dogs are on the left. Also on the left, you're going to see some stripes. That's going to be the Hartman mountain zebras. They differ from other species of zebra and that they have some excess skin around their throat called a dewlap that allows them to regulate their body temperature. Their stripes don't go all the way around, and though from a distance they look quite similar, each zebra has their own unique stripe pattern. That's how they tell each other apart. Also tucked in the corner on the left, you might have seen some curved horns. That was going to be the sable antelope. We've adopted them as our emblem here at the reserve because in every single fight or flight situation, they will always choose to fight. They're very territorial and very protective. Now, a group of zebras is referred to as a dazzle, and a group of giraffes is referred to as a tower. Probably because they tower up above us. It's due to the giraffe's tall stature that they are going to be the animals around with the highest blood pressure. It takes a lot of work for their heart to pump their blood all the way through their body. If you look on the right here, you see a closer look of the Watusi cow. And on the left, a closer look of the Maasai giraffe. You can see its prehensile tongue sticking out, kind of eating some grass. And on the right, that is our baby giraffe. He's kind of by the tree. He's a shorter one. He's our short king. He's only a couple months old. So he's around 7 feet tall right now. So he's a little tall guy. But if you look behind us, towards the left, you'll see another one of the baby giraffe. And coming up on the right is going to be a species of antelope called the wildebeest. They got that dark coloring to work. Almost looks black. And both the male and female wildebeest are going to have those horns. They are the second most densely populated land mammal, second only to human beings. They can be in groups as small as 10 or as big as in the millions. And they're going to embark on an annual thing called the Great Migration, where they literally move in search of greener pasture. They do migrate in the company of zebras and giraffes. You're going to see a closer look of the wildebeest on your right. They also do this cool thing that when they lay down for the night, they rest in such a configuration that if they suddenly get up and run, they don't run into each other. On either side of us is some baobab trees, and you might notice some holes in their trunks. So, One nickname for them is the Tree of Life, and that's because they can store thousands of gallons of water in their trunks. So in times of drought, if they're having difficulty finding water, elephants will actually pierce the trunk of those trees to get access to the water underneath. Another nickname for them is the upside down tree, and that's because their branches kind of look like root systems. They're going to look like that for 9 months out of the year. And their remaining 4, they produce these very beautiful leaves that kind of smell almost citrusy. If you look on the left-hand side, you're going to see an animal our visitors from Florida are probably very familiar with, and that's a greater flamingo. The flamingos are known for their pink coloring. Freshly hatched, they're actually gray. It isn't until they're 1 to 2 years old that they start to develop that pink, and the reason for the pink is the beta-carotene and the brine shrimp that they like to eat. Each flamingo is going to process that beta-carotene a bit differently. That's why you have your varying shades of pink. They're very social creatures. They thrive in large groups, and a group of flamingos is referred to as a flamboyance. Now to the left, you're going to see a mud pit that's frequently used by the white rhinos that like to hang out in this area. Out of the different species of rhino, they tend to be the more social. So typically where there's one, there's others not too far behind. A group of rhinos is referred to as a crush. And hopefully we might get to see a crash of them today. However, no promises. The animals are free to roam as they please. But coming up on the left, kind of on that elevated grassy platform, you're going to see a cheetah. They're kind of lying down. You can see their spots. They're in the shade. And there's another one also laying down, but their head is kind of up, also in the shade in between the trees. Cheetahs are going to be the fastest land mammal. They can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3 seconds. They're known for their bursts of speed, and they're actually not considered part of the big cat family. There's a number of reasons for this. One, they don't roar. They make meow/chirp noises similar to a house cat. They also don't have the fully retractable claws that big cats have. Instead, they're semi-retractable, almost always out, allowing them to gain traction with their high running speeds. And they're equipped with a pair of nature sunglasses, so those black stripes that go from their eyes all the way down actually allow them to deflect the sun. It's because the big cats of the savanna, the lions, lack those pair of nature sunglasses that they fear the rock formations coming up on our right. Our left. Those are called copy rocks. Lions love copy rocks because they're an excellent source of shade, and they sleep in their tunnel systems. Lions will spend most of the day sleeping, and by most of the day, I mean at least 20 hours. If you look on the right, you are going to see a species of insect called the water buck. They get this name because they drink tons of water. And also on the right, you're going to see 2 female ostriches. We know they're female because they have the gray feathers. It's the male ostriches that have the black feathers with the white tips. Ostriches differ from other birds in that they have only 2 toes as opposed to the typical 3 or 4, and that aids them in their running speed. They can go up to 43 miles per hour, and they're going to use their large wings to guide themselves as they run. Now, I'm not really seeing any lions on the left, so it seems like they are sleeping in their tunnel systems. And there could be rocks. If you look on the right, kind of in between the foliage, as you make this turn, you're going to see the white rhinos. So they're like straight ahead on the right. You can see their 2 horns, and when one is getting up, they're kind of tucked in the right. They have 2 sets of horns. Both of them are made out of keratin, and that unfortunately makes them the subject of a lot of poaching efforts. If you see them on the right hand side, you're going to see a clutch of ostrich eggs. Ostrich eggs are quite large and quite sturdy. They're going to weigh around 4 pounds, which is approximately 23 chicken eggs, and a grown human being could stand on top of them and they would not even crack. All those eggs are not the work of a single female ostrich. They actually share their nest. So what happens is the more dominant female keeps her eggs in the center so that they're better protected. Now we are reaching the edge of the reserve, the Warden's Post, and she likes to keep some Nigerian dwarf goats, which can't really blame her. They're going to be super cute. They're smaller in comparison to other species of goat, but they're still a decent size. They're a dairy goat, so farmers keep them around for their milk, and they're the second domesticated species on reserve, second to the Ankole cattle. They're quite playful, they're excellent climbers, they love to climb, they love to jump, that's how they got on top of that table, and they will literally butt heads. Headbutts can be a way to establish hierarchy, but it also can just double as like a fist bump. And they really love that green truck. They're almost always inside of or on top of it, and it seems like they are inside of it right now. Now that is going to be the last animal on the reserve, but that doesn't mean your time to spot animals has to end here. If you keep on heading down, you're going to reach Gorilla Falls, where you just might see a gorilla. We also offer an underwater view of the Nile hippopotamus, and there's a whole bunch of other animals posted throughout the trail. There's going to be friends posted throughout the trail that will love to share interesting animal facts with you guys about the animals that you're seeing. And if you head on over to Asia by the Kali River Rapids, there's an animal trail where they have fruit bats, tigers, and even a Komodo dragon. There's a whole bunch of other animals on that trail as well. Both those locations have Wilderness Explorer badges for you to earn. And if you're trying to earn the Safari badge, the code phrase is SIMBA1. SIMBA like the lion, 1 like the number. Now, I got you guys from a super special dock, which means I drop you off at that same dock. So you guys are going to be with me for just a little bit longer. So plenty of time for you to ask any questions that you might have had about some of the animals that we saw on the reserve today. If you have any questions, feel free to shout them out. And bees project. So human settlements were encroaching on elephant territory, so the elephants started to venture into the human settlements in search of food, and they found the crops that the farmers were planting, and they started to eat them because they were so conveniently there. Well, the farmers weren't too happy about that because that is their livelihood, so they tried to repel the elephants, and they decided, what can we do about this? And they partnered with scientists. So scientists sat back and observed the elephants' behavior, and they actually found that elephants are afraid of bees. So what they decided to do is, around the fencing for the crops, they planted bee boxes throughout and set like a little trigger, so once the elephant set it off, it made the bees more active. So the elephants would see the bees, be like, I'm not gonna go there, and then they would pass around the word to the herd, hey, don't go around there, they got bees. So what an elephant learns today will be passed on for generations to come. So they kept on spreading the word, don't hang out over there, they got tons of bees. So it acted like a long-lasting deterrent, and the farmers also got to sell the honey that the bees were making, so it was an additional source of income for them. It's kind of like a win-win overall. We love talking about elephant abuse over here because some of the observation for the elephant's behavior took place here at the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, and the Disney Conservation Fund donated a whole bunch of money to the research as well. Disney Conservation Project donates a whole bunch of money annually to different conservation endeavors because it was a matter near and dear to Walt Disney's heart. So we try to keep that alive today. And there's a whole bunch of things that we ourselves can do to make a long-lasting positive impact on the world around us since
Alright, so that's it from the Animal Kingdom. That was the Safari, Kilimanjaro Safari. So we'll see you next time on Lazy Nate TV. I'm out. Deuces.